I'm excited about this episode of Retiring Well, as we're going to be talking about you don't know what you don't know. What are those questions that you should be asking when it comes to your retirement planning? What about plan to retire well? That's our company's slogan, and there's so many vital things to be following and paying attention to, along with tax bracket optimization. If you have a traditional IRA, or if you aren't familiar with Roth IRAs, you want to be paying attention to that segment. And the systematic risk, what impact that has on your overall investment. So stay tuned to Retiring Well.
Retiring Well, brought to you by Centennial Wealth Advisory, financial advisors specializing in retirement planning and serving all of Northern Michigan. Retiring Well, helping you plan for a successful and comfortable retirement. Retiring Well, plan to retire well.
Several years ago, I heard this saying that really stuck with me and makes a lot of sense, and I want to talk about that today. You don't know what you don't know. And I'm talking about this in the context of maybe yourself walking into a financial advisor's office for the first time, or maybe considering that retirement. You don't know what you don't know. You don't know what questions they ask. You don't know what, different pieces of information you should be getting. I think like it to myself when I was 16 years old and walked into a car insurance place for the first time. Just got my driver's license, got my new car. Well, it wasn't new at that time, but new to me. And I wanted to get a car insurance, obviously, so I could get on the road. I didn't know what to ask. And as time has changed, learning in my time, I really should have been asking a lot of questions. So for you, walking into an advisor, first, that advisor should be asking you a bunch of questions. They should really be trying to understand your goals and your objectives in this. Are you young and you're trying to grow and accumulate assets? Are you near retirement and you're trying to preserve and have income off of that? That advisor should be asking tons of questions, and if they're not, and they're maybe getting ready into recommendations, that could be a red flag. The next thing is ask them, once they get to those recommendations of those tools and products, how are those things specifically going to help you meet your goals and objectives? Remember, a carpenter has all sorts of tools in his tool belt, but if they're trying to pound a nail with a saw, that's a very inefficient and likely way to fail over time. So once again, making sure those are matching up with your goals and objectives. What is the worst case scenario? With investments, they're not all rosy sometimes. So what is the downside? What is the drawdown? What is liquidity? Can I get to this money? And that sort of stuff. Follow that with, what are the fees? What is this going to cost me? When does those funds come out? How are they charged? And how does that affect my returns over time? And also, folks, ask the bold question. Don't be afraid. This is not the time to be shy. You are planning for your long term. Can I trust you? Boy, pretty bold question. And the best definition of trust I've ever heard is consistency over time. And in these circumstances, we can't shortcut the time, but making sure that your money is held at a reputable third-party custodian. You don't want to have the old Bernie Madoff thing happen to you, right? So making sure you're asking those deep, bold questions so you feel comfortable. Also, trust your gut. Don't be rushed in this situation. If you're sitting down at that conference room table or wherever it may be and you feel rushed into a decision, man, have your radars up for a red flag. That's not right. And also, keep asking questions. If you do move forward with that individual or that firm, remember, things change over time. You want to keep asking questions. When you're an investor at the age of 30 or 40, boy, things sure probably likely are different at the age of 60. So don't be afraid to keep asking questions and making sure those tools are aligning with your goals.
NMC Extended Education is introducing an educational class titled Retirement Secrets, Your Best is Yet to Come, presented by Centennial Wealth Advisory. If you are nearing retirement or already retired, then this class is for you. Many things can threaten your ability to outlive your assets and retire well. The big three being healthcare, inflation, and taxes. Learn to navigate the critical issues that a retiree must deal with. You'll learn how to plan for a predictable and sustainable income, minimize taxes on your IRAs, maximize your Social Security benefits, and avoid estate planning mistakes. We'll also discuss long-term care concerns and what investments are appropriate in different situations. The cost is only $69. Materials will be provided, and a spouse or guest may attend for free. The class will be held on Wednesday, November 10th and November 17th from 6 to 9 p.m. at the NMC Great Lakes campus. Reserve your seats today by calling NMC at 231-995-1700.
What can Retirement Analyzer do for you? Retirement Analyzer is a software tool that can help you prepare today for your financial future. You've worked hard to save for your retirement, but as you near your retirement, you may have concerns. Have I positioned my retirement savings wisely? Have I saved enough for retirement, and will my savings last throughout my lifetime? What impact could inflation have on my future expenses? What if I suffer a long-term illness? Will I have enough money to cover my medical care expenses and still be able to meet my other financial obligations? Could changes in the income tax rates disrupt my retirement strategy? There's no need to be in the dark as you prepare for your retirement. Retirement Analyzer can help you find answers to all these questions and more. The first step is providing us with information on your financial assets, the type and current value of those assets, as well as your sources of income. Then, we work with you to identify your expected expenses in retirement. This will include a discussion of the lifestyle you envision in retirement, travel, a summer residence, whatever you dream your retirement will be. We'll input the information you provide us into the Retirement Analyzer, and in a very short time we'll have reports that show us the percentage of assets currently in high-risk vehicles as well as the percent in lower-risk products. Retirement Analyzer enables us to project your income from year to year in your retirement and see how long your retirement savings may last. As we change the conditions of the report, delaying your retirement date, including costs for long-term care, adjusting the expected tax rate, or adjusting your retirement strategies, we can see how changes in these variables may impact your income in retirement and the longevity of your retirement savings. Let the Retirement Analyzer help you test drive your retirement strategy today, because the time to discover the bumps in the road is not once your trip through retirement has begun. Contact our office today to schedule an appointment for your Retirement Analyzer review.
Hi, my name is Jack Klunder, and I am a financial advisor with Centennial Wealth Advisory. I work out of our Cadillac office, and we specialize in retirement planning. We take a very holistic approach. We start with investments and see how you're situated there. We do wealth management. We do income planning. We do tax planning, any kind of healthcare issues or needs that you might have for insurance. And then we talk about what your legacy plan might be. So if you are nearing or in retirement and you have questions that you want to go over, please give the number on the screen a call, and we can have and set up a free, no obligation consultation.
Plan to retire well. That's our company's slogan and something that we believe strongly in. Benjamin Franklin once said, by failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. So in all different aspects of life, you want to have a plan in place. You want to set different goals that you want to accomplish. I know growing up here in Traverse City, I'm a huge basketball fan, and so I grew up watching Dan Marley, who went on to play in the 1988 Olympics and on to a 14-year NBA career, and that's what I wanted to do, is be a professional basketball player. Well, Dan Marley had the privilege of being 6'6". I didn't quite even make it to 6 feet tall, so that wasn't in my cards, but it was something growing up and through college that I always knew I wanted to own my own business. And I was always good with numbers. I was very careful with money. And so the opportunity came about back in 2005 to start here at Centennial Wealth Advisory and learn under our founder, Michael Reese. And so I was sort of the right-hand man learning the ins and outs of the business. And as time moved along, worked my way through the company, and now here find myself as one of the partners here at Centennial Wealth Advisory. So it's important to set different goals in life, just as is true with your retirement planning. You want to have a plan in place. So most of the folks that we're seeing, that come into our office, nobody's really ever won the lottery and had a large lump sum dumped on their lap. It's more about planning and essentially setting money aside year by year to accomplish that goal. And so it's not necessarily looking at your 401k or 403b statement and saying, oh, I've got a large sum of money set aside for retirement. That's not necessarily a plan. You want to have a plan in those different areas such as income. You know, how are you going to draw that money from your portfolio so to ensure that you don't run out of money? That's a major goal that you're going to want to have. Along with income comes taxes. What are the tax implications for you based on how you structure that income? And that goes along with then health insurance. If you're retiring prior to 65, you want to be careful of how you structure your income so that you might have the opportunity for different subsidies and looking at the costs of health insurance. What about life insurance or long-term care? Those are vital things that may have a major impact on your overall retirement plan. What about your estate planning? Where are the assets going to go upon your passing? And ultimately, your investment strategy. There's a lot of different things to be paying attention to here and how much risk you might be taking with your overall plan. So again, we'd love that opportunity to sit down with you and help you plan to retire well.
Hey, you know, there are a great couple segments there. I hope you found those valuable. I love that statement. You don't know what you don't know. It levels the playing field for everybody. That's true for everybody. And when they were going through, you know, describing some of the features of you don't know what you don't know, it reminded me of Ray Dalio's story. I'm not sure you're familiar with him, but he basically had convinced himself that he was right. All of his decisions were based on the fact that he knew he was right. And he got his company and his clients into a really bad situation. It came crashing down. And in that failure, he changed his mindset on information. He changed his words. It changed his life. Instead of convincing himself that he was right, he said, how do I know I'm right? He left room in his answer to always find the best answer. And that's what I love about what we get to do. We're continually educating ourselves. We can be confident in what we give our clients, but we always are leaving open the fact that we're going to always be searching for the best answer for each of our clients' situation.
Yeah, I mean, that's where the plan to retire well comes into play. I mean, we're going to look at all these different aspects of your plan to make sure that we're meeting your goals, okay? That is the end result, to make sure that you're happy with the retirement and that we've satisfied those goals. So stay tuned. Coming up next, we're going to be talking about tax bracket optimization. So don't go away. You want to hear about that one.
Professional golfers have a game plan. Knowing where to attack the golf course is vital, and avoiding the hazards is key. As you can see, we aren't professional golfers. But at Northern Michigan's Centennial Wealth Advisory, we are professional financial advisors. Give Centennial Wealth Advisory a call or visit us at cen-wealth.com and let us help you plan to retire well.
The stock market has a natural life cycle that is destined to encounter peaks and valleys. Those scenarios are frequently preceded by events such as changes in interest rates, new international trade negotiations, treaties, and tariffs, fluctuating levels in the national debt, global events that threaten the economic stability, political controversies that impact national policies, dramatic news headlines that shape investor sentiment. While each of these issues, and certainly all of them combined, generate cause for concern, it's important to remember that we have been in similar circumstances before. One way to help gauge market-related anxiety is to consider observations made by renowned investment experts who have weathered many markets' ups and downs over the years. Contact us today for a complimentary portfolio risk assessment. We'd love the opportunity to help you plan to retire well.
Centennial Wealth Advisory is a proud sponsor of the Traverse City St. Francis Gladiators football team.
Tax bracket optimization. What is it? Listen, all it is optimizing tax brackets. All right, there's several brackets of taxable income that you need to understand and know where you're at in. For example, we used to have what we called the 15% tax bracket, okay? Now, under the new Tax Reform Act, that's actually 12%, 3 percentage points less. The next tax bracket used to be what we called the 25% bracket, but now that is only 22% under the new Tax Reform Act. Okay, now the lower bracket, now 12%, that's going to be all your gross income up to about $100,000, you know, give or take. I'm just going to round off for sake of illustration. The next bracket, it's gross income of about $190,000. Now, a lot of people don't understand this, but they think that if they fall in this higher bracket, that all their income gets taxed at that rate, and that is not the case. The first $100,000 that you make is going to get taxed at this rate, 12%, and then the next, any money above that only gets taxed at the 22%, not all of the income. So let's say I'm that person that has pension income, okay, and maybe I have Social Security, and so now between my pension and Social Security, my taxable income is, let's say that's about $70,000 total. I've got $30,000 here available to basically do what? Well, either accelerate and take income because I'm in the lower bracket, right? Or maybe I have an opportunity to do what's called a Roth conversion. Maybe I can take $30,000 each year while I'm in that lower bracket and buy Uncle Sam out at the low rate. Why would I not do that? Now, a lot of people don't recognize with the Tax Reform Act that in about 7 years, this is all going to revert back to the old rates. So I have a huge opportunity right now. If I'm somebody that's always going to be in that 15% bracket or in the 25% bracket, I've got an opportunity to buy Uncle Sam out at 3 cents on the dollar less now over the next 7 years. So here's an opportunity, but this goes just as well. Let's say I'm that person that has pension and Social Security income, maybe other income that's putting me right here. And that's always going to be the case. And then I have my IRA money. Well, if I know I'm always going to be in this bracket, now I have another opportunity right here to buy out Uncle Sam at that rate. So understanding where you're at in the tax brackets and the opportunities thereof, very important in tax planning. So I encourage you, if you're somebody that doesn't understand this, want to see if maybe you're a Roth conversion candidate or the like, then give us a call.
What another great topic there. I mean, tax bracket optimization. Very interesting and something that you should be well aware of, right? A lot of people that come into the office, they don't really understand what tax bracket they're in, and that's crucial. I mean, I've had a recent scenario where a couple came in, they didn't know where their income fell in those tax brackets, and they actually had a lot of room in the 12% bracket where they could develop that IRA exit strategy, right? They could do Roth conversions, maximize that top of that 12% tax bracket, and convert that money to Roth. Biggest reason we're doing that right now is because tax rates, they're probably only going to go up from here, right? So why not buy out Uncle Sam for less now and have that money grow tax-free for the rest of your life? I know, Jack, you got the same situation, right?
Yeah, I love the opportunity to teach about tax brackets and what your tax options might be. You know, imagine this. I know you would never get asked this question, but imagine you're at a barbecue and somebody comes up and says, "What's your tax plan right now? What's your tax plan going forward? What's your bracket, your marginal rate, you know?" And what happens if you were able to actually tell them? What if you responded to that question with, "Yeah, I'm $5,000 into the 12% bracket. I have all kinds of room to maximize my tax bracket so that I can kick the government out as efficiently as possible." And not only are we going to do that this year, we're going to continue to do this because we don't just plan for 1 year, we plan for a lifetime. So if you have questions with where you're at, if you want to challenge yourself or someone that you love to know your bracket, know your tax plan, could be a fun opportunity to answer a question that you might not ever get, but you'd be ready for it. So stay tuned as we go to our last segment here talking about systematic risk and how that might affect you and your portfolio.
Your grandchildren are precious to you. They are your life. This is your time to have that special relationship. Taking care of yourself is taking care of them. Centennial Wealth Advisory is offering a free, no-obligation retirement review to make sure you don't run out of money during your retirement. Centennial Wealth Advisory. Your best is yet to come.
NMC Extended Education is introducing an educational class titled Retirement Secrets, Your Best is Yet to Come, presented by Centennial Wealth Advisory. If you are nearing retirement or already retired, then this class is for you. Many things can threaten your ability to outlive your assets and retire well. The big three being healthcare, inflation, and taxes. Learn to navigate the critical issues that a retiree must deal with. You'll learn how to plan for a predictable and sustainable income, minimize taxes on your IRAs, maximize your Social Security benefits, and avoid estate planning mistakes. We'll also discuss long-term care concerns and what investments are appropriate in different situations. The cost is only $69. Materials will be provided, and a spouse or guest may attend for free. The class will be held on Wednesday, November 10th and November 17th from 6 to 9 p.m. at the NMC Great Lakes campus. Reserve your seats today by calling NMC at 231-995-1700.
Are you nearing retirement or in retirement? Have you had your portfolio just looked at or have a second opinion on that portfolio recently? Centennial Wealth is a full service advisory firm, and we have multiple locations in northern Michigan. I'm in the Gaylord office primarily. The office is right downtown Gaylord. Also up in the Petoskey office as well. That office is right off of 31. I'd love to hear your story. I'd love to sit down and chat, and it's a free, no obligation consultation, so just call the number on the screen.
Have you ever heard that saying, all ships rise and fall with the tide? Well, in our industry, this is what we call systematic risk, or beta, which I'm going to explain here in just a minute. So here's the idea. Let's say that I'm in an index fund that's tied to the S&P 500. Okay, this is an index fund that basically owns the S&P 500. Now, if I'm comparing that with the benchmark itself, or the index S&P 500, you would expect that index fund is going to go just like with the market, right? So if you see the S&P 500 rise, 2-3%, you're going to see that index fund rise 2-3%. For the most part, right? Think of a mutual fund that's made up of large company stocks. If a large portion of those stocks are the S&P 500, you would also believe that if the S&P 500 went up 2-3%, that most likely that mutual fund invested in the same would rise about the same. This is what we call systematic risk. The idea that that your portfolio is going to be pretty much going with the market. Now, that's a good thing if the market's cooperating. If I see the market do well, and I'm watching that benchmark, I know my portfolio did well, right? But what if it's the opposite? What if I'm watching, the market going down? I could probably expect my portfolio to be going down right along with it. Now, the ideal thing would be to have it go up with the market, but not have it go down with the market, right? Now, we have the ability to get behind any portfolio and actually find out what its beta is, okay? B-E-T-A. What it is you take a beta of 1.0, and that means that portfolio is basically going right with the market. If the market goes up 2-3%, you can pretty much expect that portfolio to go up by 2-3%. If it's down by 2-3%, you should expect it to be down by 2-3%. Now, a beta score of less than 1, okay, maybe you say it's 0.8, means that it's going to be less riskier than the market. So market's up 2-3%, yours should only be up 1-2, all right, and vice versa on the downside. Now, a beta score of 1.0 or more means that the portfolio is more riskier than the market. So it's going to possibly do even better than market, but probably do even worse than the market. So knowing the score is very important, because if you have a well-diversified portfolio and at the end of the day it has a beta score of 1 and it's pretty much just tracking the market, well, if that's what you want it to do, that's a good thing. But if it's on the downside, if it's not what you want to do, maybe that's a bad thing. So I encourage you, if you're somebody that doesn't know that score, doesn't know how your portfolio would operate as it's compared to the market, then give us a call. We'll gladly analyze that portfolio and tell you what your beta score is.
Lots of great information there on systematic risk. And you know, when I think about systematic risk, it kind of brings me back to my days of being a pilot. Jack and I are actually both private pilots there. And I remember back in flight school, you always wanted to have that plan B. So doing my training up here in Traverse City, we'd fly out over to the peninsula up near Sutton's Bay, and we would do our normal training, but in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, you know what? This instructor at any point in time could want to practice an engine failure, right? And I got to know if there's an open field or someplace that I can land my plane there safely. And it always reminds me of that plan B scenario where we got to make sure that your retirement plan has that plan B as well.
Yeah, and I know that you've had some opportunities where your instructor did take the power all the way off. I know there were times where all of a sudden everything's going well, flying along, enjoying the view, and my power's gone. And my instructor says, time to figure out where you're gonna land. And I remember a vivid memory circling this field, getting down to about 50 feet of the ground, kind of looking over saying, are we really gonna be doing this? And then she put full power and we could fly away. But there is a lot of overlap. You know, what are your plan Bs in your retirement plan? What are your plan B, or what are your other options that you might be missing to have a plan that would be create that peace in your life that you want? You know, going through the training of becoming a pilot made you be very proactive in your thought process. And that's what we get to do here at Centennial Wealth, is we get to be as proactive as we possibly can and always keep you in the center of that discussion. So I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you found some helpful information. We're here every week, same time, same station. Have a great week.